Yes. Yes, no. Indeed, I agree. No. Hard no. One moment, please. I forgot to pop out chat again and get the link. Wait, no. Wait. What? Crap. One moment. Why is everything highlighted? Shit. Okay, come on. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. Alright, I gotta stop ear raping myself with this chill ADHD vibes mix. Turn it down for you guys a little bit too. Is that good? That should be good, I think. Is my voice loud enough? It should be. Okay, yeah. Probably should have done a mic check before I decided to set up stream. Hello? Alright. You know, let's just get straight into it. Hi guys, how are you tonight? Speaking of popping, you can pop any grain like it's popcorn, so you can theoretically pop the tainted grain. Alright, so quick question. What do you think the grain was tainted with? Like, just guess any chemical, like anything you can think of. Like, what would they spray on grain that kills people? Had some. Okay, cool, Melvin. Cool. Fungus? Nope. Poo? Nope. No, like any chemical. Estrogen. Oil. Oil floats on oil. Water floats on oil. Something like that. No, actually, it's you're gonna be quite surprised by what they were using. Not asbestos. What they were using as a fungicide in the 1970s. Yeah, methyl mercury. They were, yeah, you're right, Chill. They were spraying methyl mercury on grain that had the intention of being planted. I don't want to read the Wikipedia article directly, but I'm going to start with that because that has a really good summary of the thing, and then I'll go to the EBSCO article. Like, I mean, anyone can read a Wikipedia article, but I'm gonna, yeah, it was literally methyl mercury. So, let's okay. The 1971 Iraq poison grain disaster. The 1971 Iraq poison grain disaster was a mass methyl mercury poisoning incident where seed grain treated with the methyl mercury fungicide which was never intended for human consumption, was imported into Iraq from Mexico and the United States. Due to factors like foreign language labeling and distribution too late into the growing cycle, this toxic grain was consumed as food by Iraq citizens in rural areas of the country. Sufferers experienced paresthesia, ataxia, and vision loss similar to those observed in Minamata disease affected Japan, which is also methyl mercury poisoning, but that was due to water source contamination and accumulation in fish. Which is why, you know, people are kind of scared of canned fish now. Truly, even the lowest peasant of Iraq was living in the Emperor of China, LeMayo. What had occurred? Okay, so the official death toll was 459. Figures of as much as 10 times greater have been suggested. When it occurred in 1971, poisoning was the largest mercury poisoning event in history, with cases peaking in February 1972 and stopping by the end of March. So, yeah, methyl mercury had been banned in Sweden in 1966, the first country to do so, and the United Kingdom followed in 1971. Previous mercury poisoning incidents had occurred in Iraq in 1956 and 1960. You'd think they'd learn. In 1956, there had been around 200 cases and 70 deaths. In 1960, there had been 1,000 cases and 200 deaths. In both cases due to an ethyl mercury compounds. Among the recommendations made after the 1960 incident had been to color any toxic grain for easy identification, so they didn't even color the crap, you know? Before the 1971 incident, around 200 to 300 cases of methyl mercury poisoning had been reported worldwide. The drought had reduced harvests in 1969, affecting 500,000 people. Okay, let's go over the causes. 95,000 tons of grain were colored a pink-orange hue were shipped to Iraq from the United States and Mexico. The wheat arrived in Bausa on the SS trade carrier between 16th of September and the 15th of October. The barley between the 22nd of October and the 24th of November in 1971. Iraq's government chose Mexipac, a high-yield wheat seed developed in Mexico by Norman Borlaug. The seeds contained an average of 4.9 micrograms per gram of mercury, with some samples containing up to nearly twice that. The three northern government... I need to think for a second so I can speak. A bunch of random government places received half the shipment, and contributing... The seed arrived late, so instead of planting it, they decided to eat it, right? It's koisha. It's koisha food. Farmers were supposed to plant the poison grain, but many instead offered it to their families as food, since their own planting had been completed. Distribution was, in later stages, hurried and open, with the grain being distributed free of charge, with the expectation of payment in kind when the harvest season came. Some farmers even sold off their own grain in order to claim more of the imported grain. This left them dependent on tainted grain for the winter. Many Iraqis were either unaware of the significant health risk posed or chose to ignore the warnings. Initially, farmers were to certify with a thumbprint or signature that they understood the grain was poison. However, some distributors ignored this requirement. Warnings on the sacks were in Spanish and English, not at all understood, or included the black and white skull and crossbones design, which meant nothing to the Iraqis. The long, asymptomatic latent period of mercury poisoning may have granted the farmers a false sense of security when the animals fed the grain initially appeared to be fine. The red dye washed off the grain, the mercury did not. Hence, the washing may have only given the appearance of removing the poison. This is why I like the Wikipedia article, because it's got phrases like that. It's pretty chill. It's a good article, honestly. The Iraqi government made limited attempts to control the distribution of the mercury grain. 4 high-ranking officials were posted at the Barca docks during the first 2 weeks of unloading. However, control of the unloading process slipped afterwards, and with some spilt grain being stolen by dock workers, aircraft were used to drop 500,000 leaflets warning of the mercury. However, this was in an insufficient quantity for the population at the time. Skull means it helps bones grow. Yeah. Mercury was ingested through the consumption of homemade bread, meat, and other animal products contained from livestock given the treated barley, vegetables grown from the soil contaminated with mercury, game birds that had fed on the grain, and fish caught in rivers, canals, and lakes into which treated grain had been dumped by farmers. Ground seed dust inhalation was a contributing factor to the farmers during sowing and grinding. Consumption of ground grain made into homemade bread was thought to have been the major source of toxicity, since no cases were reported in urban areas where government flour supplies were commercially regulated. Symptoms, outbreak, and treatment. They didn't just know off the bat what a skull symbol meant. No, the skull's a really cool symbol, and they thought someone would just put it on there because it looked cool. Good evening, Justin Curry. The effect of mercury took some time. The latent period between ingestion and first symptoms, typically paresthesia, numbness in the extremities, which is kind of benign, and you can kind of get it if you're just really sick for a while, was between 16 and 38 days. Paresthesia was a predominant symptom in less serious cases. Worst cases included ataxia, blindness or reduced vision, and death resulting from central nervous system failure. Anywhere between 20 and 40 milligrams of mercury has been suggested to be sufficient for paresthesia. On average, individuals affected consumed 20 kilograms or so of the bread. The 73,000 tons provided would have been sufficient for over 3 million cases. Mercury is awful, but doesn't make you winter. Will I do something on the effects of leaded gasoline? Maybe, yeah. You wonder why Gen X acts the way it does? That's the leaded gasoline acting. Skulls are cool symbols, just need a syringe on them, would be a specific screen. Well, IQ's been going up because the lead poisoning hasn't been an issue recently. Thanks for the dono, James. Also, thanks for becoming a member, Ivan. Sick. I'm gonna have to update that intro. But yeah, so a lot of people got poisoning from the mercury, and a lot of children became retarded, and it was I found an article linking autism in Iraq to the mercury poisoning. I have an article right here blaming Bin Laden or something, whatever his name is, Saddam Hussein. They're blaming Saddam Hussein for everyone getting grain poisoning. We're currently on the 5th iteration of IQ test because on average people get smarter over time, so they have to revise it. But I mean, that's just like education and stuff. It's not genetic improvements. If we wanted genetic improvements, that would be caused by some things that some people wouldn't like. So, you know, tee-hee, well, funny. Alright, so let's go over this article real quick. This is in 2003, the year of my birth. Horror stories of all types have emerged in Iraq since the fall of Saddam Hussein. So, after Saddam Hussein, because he was a great leader, apparently. Great and powerful leader. But not only were people horrifically abused, Iraq's environment was tormented as well. In the early 1970s, a major methylmercury poisoning catastrophe occurred, which an estimated 10,000 people died and 100,000 people were severely and permanently brain damaged. Saddam's regime was largely successful in suppressing information about the event. The problem began in the late 1960s and early 1970s when Iraq experienced a series of abysmal harvests. Since the Green Revolution was beginning, Iraq imported wonder wheat from Mexico. The risk was the seeds might grow moldy during the long humid ocean transport to Iraq, if not dressed with some fungicide. Methylmercury became the most cost-effective fungicide because it had recently been banned in Scandinavia and several American states due to the environmental and toxicological risks. So the world market was flooded and prices dropped. The wheat seeds were thus dressed with methylmercury and sent to Barsa in Iraq's south. Because the shipment arrived late, trucks and trains that had been on hand were reassigned, so it took another couple of months before the grain reached the farmers. By then, the sowing season was long over. Farmers were left with the pink grain that they were told not to eat, only to plant. But recent harvests had been lousy, and farmers had little or nothing to feed their animals and themselves. Like farmers all over the world, Iraqi farmers mistrust their government, so they began feeding the grain to the chickens or sheep, and watched to see if there were any bad side effects. Nothing happened for weeks, so some gave the grain to old grandfathers and grandmothers who didn't drop dead instantly. At that point, it seemed, most farmers began giving the grain to their livestock and eating it themselves. Children supposedly liked the pink bread. But within a half a year or so, bad things did start to happen. Hospitals were flooded with patients showing signs of damage to their central nervous system. At first, doctors initially had no idea to the cause. Some suspected an epidemic of brain fever of some sort. Others more accurately pointed to methylmercury. A small group of international experts on mercury were called in. I went in as a World Health Organization staff member. We confirmed methylmercury poisoning through contaminated food. But what food had been contaminated? Bread could be and sometimes was, as grain was fed to sheep and chickens and cows, meat, milk, cheese, and butter became contaminated. To avoid problems, I only ate dates and American corned beef canned in 1941 and 1942 for the U.S. Army. Imagine going to Iraq and only eating dates and American corn canned beef from 1941 and 1942 and 1971. You gotta feel bad for this journal, you know? Is there a buffer happening? We're late for the epic. Am I buffering? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry for buffering. But yeah, imagine the WHO drops you off in Iraq and all you can eat is fucking corned beef. Yeah, it's great. When the imported grain was identified as the cause of the poisoning, the Iraq government acted decisively. Farmers were ordered to hand over all remaining supplies within a fortnight. Fortnite! Guys, they mentioned Fortnite. To stress the urgency, a death penalty for possessing pink grain after that date was declared. But farmers had no access to radio, television, or daily newspapers. By the time most learned about the order and the penalty, 2 weeks were gone and the army had started to execute those still found to be in possession of the grain. So farmers dumped grain wherever they could, along roadsides and irrigation canals and rivers. They honestly should have just put a bounty out for the grain. You get paid like $100 per can. That's awful. Just wanting some food and some idiot decided to put poison on the crops that trickled down to even the meat. Well, I mean, it was the cheapest pesticide, but imagine getting. So it gets worse because they ended up. Oh, thanks for joining. Membership, WOA. But yeah, because there was a death penalty, they dumped all the poisoned grain into the water, so now all the water is contaminated with methylmercury. Alright, let's continue. Fish soon became contaminated, so did migratory birds. One father of a family with several poisoned members and without any traditional food stood in his doorway, praising Allah for making these migratory birds easy to catch when they had nothing else to eat. That's pretty grim. Oh, that's grim. At hospitals throughout the country, doctors concluded that there was nothing they could do. There's no real treatment for methylmercury poisoning. In rural Iraq, the tradition is that a person preferably should die at home with his or her family around. Thus, when they saw and heard the doctors couldn't help, people brought their sick family member home. Yeah, also thanks for joining the Foyam Gnome, Justin Curry. Thank you. I should have had a loud screamer sound effect for that. Consequently, the official figures put the number of deaths from the methylmercury poisoning at 6,500. People only cover who die in the hospital. The real number is certainly far higher. The crisis did provide doctors some greater understanding of how to detect methylmercury poisoning. Quiet baby syndrome, for example, when mothers praise their babies for never crying, is considered a warning sign for methylmercury-induced brain damage in children. That's also really grim. That is so grim. Treatment, too, has changed in the wake of mass poisoning. The agents traditionally used to speed up the excretion of inorganic metals from poisoned patients turned out to make symptoms of methylmercury poisoning worse rather than milder. That is also grim. Through tricks and threats under Iraq's fallen dictatorship, largely succeeded in keeping the tragedy undercover. Now the story can be told, but whether anything can or will be done to help belatedly help the victims is much an open question. Poisoning. Okay, there was autism. Okay. So, where is it saying that this caused autism? Poisoning with methyl mercury. Generalizing research from animals to toad. Okay. Cyanosis? Cool. Although Clarkson and Strain said that symptoms of methylmercury and ethylmercury poisoning are identical, except that ethylmercury also damages kidneys, they seem to think that ethylmercury is nonetheless safe to use in vaccines in small quantities in an injectable form. In this regard, they subscribe to the basic CDC doctrine. The risks associated with non-vaccinating children are far outweigh the theoretical risk of exposure to thimerosal and vaccines. And the CDC researchers acknowledge that ethylmercury is toxicity comparable to methylmercury, except for additional damage to kidneys. Why do you think? Okay, this is a article about vaccines causing autism. That's epic. Nice. Thimerosal is still approved by the CDC and FTC. CDC and WHO. Interesting. Now we're doing autism, guys. I know, right? I was like a quiet autistic baby. CDC these nuts. I wasn't even looking for a autism vaccine article. It just came up, guys. Yeah. Alright, how to spot an unmarked police car. Law enforcement. That's previous stream. I do have more poisoning stories I want to go over. No autism vaccine stuff today, okay? I have enough on my plate. Enough taste in my mouth. Water pollution incident, 2008 Chinese milk scandal. That sounds good. Deli oil poisoning. Isering bakery incident. Let's see. There was the Gambia cough syrup scandal. Jonestown Moringa milk arsenic poisoning incident. I want to see if I can find more on that. Let's see. Long-term consequences of arsenic poisoning during infancy due to contaminated milk powder. Cancer excess after arsenic let's just go over the general Wikipedia article so you can get an idea of it, and then we can go into the more nitty-gritty stuff here. Is arsenic an aphrodisiac? Why does that do anything? Okay, so, because, like, actually, let's go over this one. The Moringa milk arsenic poisoning incident, 50 years on. An outline of the implementation of the Victims Relief Project. What am I saying? Am I retarded? Do I have mercury poisoning in my brain? Heavy metal make my bones stronger? Jamestown Datura incident. Just Jamestown where they all killed themselves with poison Kool-Aid. There's also like another incident in like rural China where they gave each other poison gruel and they all died. Ice cream bakery incident. During the second open, several hundred European residents were poisoned non-lethally with arsenic found in bread produced by the Chinese-owned store, the Icing Bakery. The proprietor of the bakery, Chiang Al-Lung, was accused of plotting the poisoning, but was acquitted by trial by jury. Nonetheless, Xiaolong was successfully sued for damages and was banished from the colony. The true responsibility for the incident and its intention, whether it was an individual act of terrorism, commercial sabotage, or a war crime orchestrated by the Queen government, or purely accidental, remains a matter of debate. Powder in chat. It was flavored cool. It was Flavor Aid. Yeah. Is that what killed Flavor Aid? Also the Austrian diethylene glycol wine scandal that was covered in The Simpsons. Damn, I had a Gambia cough syrup incident. This one's kind of sad because mothers demand justice. That's a sad woman. She has her dead baby on a poster. She has a mommy baby. She loves her baby. She left her baby. A red toy motorbike sits in the corner of the Mariam Kutia's home, gathering dust. It was meant for her 20-year-old son, Musa, but he passed away in September. He is one of the 66 children in the Gambia who are thought to have died after being given cough syrup that are potentially linked with acute kidney damages, according to the World Health Organization. No one in the family dare touches Musa's toy, a reminder of what has been lost. His 30-year-old mother, who has 4 other children, was in tears remembering what happened to her son. Sitting in her home in the suburb of Gambia's largest city, Sideri Kuna. She explained the sickness started as a flu. After he was seen by a doctor, her husband bought the syrup to treat the problem. When we gave him the syrup, the flu stopped, but it led to another problem, she said. My son was not passing urine. We returned to the hospital, and Musa was sent for a blood test, which ruled out malaria. He was given another treatment, which did not work. A catheter was fitted, but he did not pass urine. Finally, the small child was operated on. There was no improvement. He couldn't make it. He died. Earlier this week, the WHO issued a global alert over 4 cough syrups in connection with the deaths in Gambia. The products, promethazine oral solution, cofamexilin baby cough syrup, the Macacough baby cough syrup, and the Magrip and cold syrup were manufactured by an Indian company, Made in Pharmaceuticals, who had failed to provide guarantees about their safety, said the WHO. The Indian government was investigating the situation. The firm has not responded to a BBC request for comment. There was a lot of anger in Gambia over what happened. There are growing calls for resignation of the health minister, Dr. I'm not saying that name, along with the prosecution of the importers of the drugs into the country. This thalidomide case was pretty grim too. Yeah, it was, but that was way too much talked about. Everyone talks about the thalidomide case, and also, like, the intentional poisoning of baby formula in China. Well, it seems like there's been a lot of intentional poisoning of baby formula in China, and also, like, the... what's it called? What's the insulation called? Asbestos. Asbestos and baby powder. Like, baby powder being made out of... What is it called? It's like a mined version of asbestos. The makers of cough syrup should be made to drink their own product. 5-month-old Asha was another victim. His mother, Mariam Swazio, realized one morning after taking the cough syrup her baby was not passing urine. On an initial visit to the hospital, the 28-year-old was told there was nothing wrong with her daughter's bladder. It took 2 more trips in consecutive days before Asha was referred to a hospital in the capital. But after 5 days of treatment there, she died. My daughter had a painful death. At a certain time, the doctors wanted to fix a drip on her. They could not see her veins. Myself and 2 other women at the same ward. We all lost our children. I have 2 sons, and Asha was my only girl. My husband was very happy to have Asha, and he still can't come to terms with her death. The Gambia does not currently have a laboratory capable of testing for whether medicines are safe and they have to be sent abroad for checking. Gambia's Health Services Director Mustafa Didi told the BBC's Focus on Africa program. On Friday, President Adama Barrow said the country planned to open such a laboratory. In a televised address to the nation, he also directed the health ministry to review relevant laws and guidelines for imported drugs. Ms. Swazo believes the government should have been more vigilant. This is a lesson for patients and even greater responsibility for the government. And then there's the sad dad with his dead baby. Yeah. I mean, it's a Gambia, but I still feel bad because, you know, it's dead babies and it's sad moms and dads. Like, I mean, specifically the comment about the dad being devastated about his, about his daughter dying. Also, asbestos. I recently did a job on a house with asbestos sliding. We covered it with new siding. It was so much cheaper than trying to get rid of it all. LeMayo. Just break the wall open and huff that asbestos up. Do you know about the Tylenol poisonings in the 1980s? I do not. I'll look that up. But this one's cool too. This one's about someone bullshitting antibiotic and killing a ton of people because it was literally just poison. Tylenol poisoning 1980. Chicago Tylenol murders? Really? Chicago Tylenol murders. Let me see. Johnson & Johnson Tylenol crisis. He was one to avoid daughter in the pool. I don't like how they received medicines where they couldn't guarantee its safety. Well, yeah, it's because it's from India. What about that time the X-ray machine ended up in the scrapyard and caused radioactive contamination to the whole town? Yeah, the Turok 2 incident. Turok 2, no, it was like the 270 or something. Turok 2 is a video game. This is a story about someone making a retarded, poisonous antibiotic that didn't really work and kill people. Washington, November 25th. Ah, crap, I want to... No, let me go back. Go back! A graphic story of a race against death from elixir sulfanilamide, carried out by the Food and Drug Administration in 15 states from Virginia to California, erased not one until 93 persons had died taking the lethal dose, was told by Secretary Wallace today in a report responding to the Senate and House resolutions. Without attempting dramatization, the 16-page report told the greatest manhunt in history of the federal agency. that took one of its homes and graves of the Negro victims in the South and into the offices of reputable physicians. It told pharmacists who prayed God's forgiveness on a bended knee, and of doctors who refused the names of patients who they prescribed the fatal elixir. Unusually outspoken for a federal document devoted to such a subject, the Secretary's report was full of condemnation of the elixir manufacturer and of an inadequate federal law that could not have been invoked to head off more deaths had the authorities interpreted the term elixir to imply an alcoholic solution. So, let me think for a second. What was the interesting thing about this? So basically, some guy bullshitted together a solution, and he didn't bother to test it on any animals because he's like, you know, it's just fine. It'll probably be fine. There was one time Brazilians played with radioactive powder with scrapped in a X-ray machine. Yeah, let's talk about this. There's like way too many YouTube videos on that. I want to talk about things nobody talks about, which are usually old stories about lots of mass poisonings of normal poison. But normal poison is pretty interesting, though. Did you hear about the reappearance of the bubonic plague in Los Angeles? That's right. That's right! Christmas is only 1 month away! The reappearance in Los Angeles. Did you hear, guys? Bubonic plague is 1 month away. I'm so happy. Isn't that crazy, guys? Bubonic plague, 1 month away. Yeah, send the article. Biggest corruption in life and health and education right now. I'd say 100 times bigger than weapons manufacturing. Yeah, for sure, for real. But I do want to go through this report real quick. I guess it's not a report, it's a report on the report by the New York Times. The report told the story of a continuous investigation by the federal authorities from the time a poisonous potion, a devious quandary, was first reported on the 14th of October until every drop had confiscated or accounted for weeks later. Telegrams of the manufacturing concern in its effort to recall the solution were printed verbatim to show that we were not calculated to impress receivers with the emergency character of the call for returning the goods. Bubonic plague. Send an article here or Discord. Here is good. Local hospital is paying $20 for a slice, not a loaf of bread right now. Really? That's hilarious. Have you heard of the dancing plague? Yes, I have heard of the dancing plague. There's an Aberdeen typhoid breakout from bad corned beef. Yeah, I guess that guy, eating 1941 corned beef wasn't on his A game, but whatever. Okay, let me continue this article, I'm sorry. They also reprinted more of the pointed warnings to all known recipients of the quote-unquote medicine by federal agents that the quote-unquote product may be dangerous to life. Complete with names and dates, the report told of the unintended but no complete perversion of an otherwise wonder-working drug by a chemist who sought its reduction to a liquid form through diethylene glycol. So he had a drug that was good, and then he put it in diethylene glycol. It's like, whatever, it's probably fine. Which is antifreeze. It was the same chemist who in 1921, according to the report, acquiesced in the post office citation that he ceased using the mails for marketing, a weight-reducing preparation. Law does not require tests. Explained in the Secretary's report was the fact that before the elixir was put on the market, it was tested for flavor, but not for its effect on human life. Tested for flavor, but not for its effect on human life, and that the existing Food and Drugs Act did not require that new drugs be tested before they're placed on sale. Before recounting the work of detection and confiscation of the fatal preparation, the report recited the following to show that the problem with which it was confronted from the outset of the investigation. Since the Federal Food and Drugs Act contains no provision against dangerous drugs, seizures have to be made on whether a charge that the word elixir implies an alcoholic solution, whereas this product was a diethylene glycol solution. Had the product been called a solution rather than elixir, no charge of violating the law would have been brought. So you can't go to jail for poisoning people, but you can for calling it an elixir if it doesn't have alcohol in it. Better, it tasted nice. It tastes fine, should send it out. Oh yeah. The report had no quarrel with the sulfonamide as a chemical, which was first reported in European medical literature as shown dramatic curative effects. It had quoted the Journal of American Medical Association that as holding it while potentially dangerous, sulfonamide, if properly used, may be brilliantly successful in treating various infections. A sales failure to make tests. It did quarrel, however, with the manner in which the concoction of an otherwise beneficial drug was prepared and distributed as follows. The fatal elixir was rushed to market without an adequate test to determine whether or not the diethylene glycol may be safely used as a solvent for sulfonamide deposit. Previously published reports in scientific literature showing that diethylene glycol may be dangerous when taken internally. No shit. A few simple and inexpensive tests on experimental animals would have quickly demonstrated the toxic properties of both diethylene glycol and the elixir, quote-unquote. Of the 93 persons who had died after taking the quote-unquote elixir, 73 were found to have been killed as a direct result. With others, it could not be established as the drug was exclusively responsible. Originally prepared at Bristol 10, the plant of S.E. Messingle Company, the preparation came to be distributed from its chief branches in Kansas City, New York, and San Francisco. Fatal Elixir is a good brand name. That was BRB gonna glycol my diethylene. The solution could use a little more BBQ sauce. Yeah, it's antifreeze. It's generally bad to consume antifreeze. Described in the report by the Secretary Wallace was the magnitude of the task confronting the Food and Drugs Administration, which might have prompted some of the investigators to surrender. In one establishment alone, 20,000 sales slips had been examined, and the process repeated on 3 other distributing houses. The task was complicated by the fact that the distribution was not made exclusively on the physician's prescriptions, which normally would have recorded the names of the patients. At East St. Louis, 49 prescriptions, all for Negroes, were filed from 2 shipments. In the Deep South, with the superstitious Negroes furbished on the graves of the dead with their medicine spoons and other requirements of the sick, a bottle was recovered containing several ounces of the elixir. So, it was mostly just killing black people. This is an article from 1937. Fatal Elixir sounds like a little death spin-off. Let's look at the Wikipedia article real quick, because it's pretty concise. I like Wikipedia, because they're concise, but it's also not great. It's Wikipedia. Anyone can read a Wikipedia article. But you know what? I'm anyone, and I can read a Wikipedia article, so I'm going to read it. Elixir sulfonamide was an improperly prepared sulfonamide antibiotic that caused mass poisoning in the United States in 1937. Aside from the Pure Food and Drug Act of 1906 and Harrison Act of 1914 banning the sale of some narcotic drugs, there was no federal regulatory control in the United States of America for drugs until Congress enacted the 1938 Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act in response to the elixir sulfonamide poisonings. So this was actually a pretty big deal, guys. Big deal. Big deal. Is Kool-Aid also an elixir? If it contains alcohol, it's an elixir. So just mix your Kool-Aid with Everclear and you got yourselves an elixir. Wasn't that the true original purpose of abortion clinics? Yes, it was. It was, if you look into the quotes for abortion clinics when they came out, when the government dropped the abortion clinics, limited time drop, yeah, that was literally it. So, a pharmaceutical manufacturer created an oral preparation of sulfonamide using diethylene glycol as a solvent or expedient, and called the preparation elixir sulfonamide. DEG is poisonous to humans and other mammals, but Harold Watkins, the company's chief pharmacist and chemist, was not aware of this. Imagine being a chief physician and not being aware that antifreeze kills people. Although the first case of a fatality related to ethylene glycol occurred in 1930, and studies have been published in the medical journal stating that DEG could cause kidney damage or failure, its toxicity was not widely known prior to the incident. Oh yeah, this was a long time ago. Watkins simply mixed the raspberry flavoring into the powdered drug, then dissolved the mixture into the DEG. Animal testing was not required by law, and Messingle performed none. There were no regulations at the time requiring pre-market safety testing for drugs. The company had started selling and distributing the medication in September 1937. By October 11, American Medical Association received a report of several deaths caused by the medication. The FDA was noted, and an extensive search was conducted to recover the distributed medicine. Francis Oakland Kesley assisted on a research project that verified that DEG solvent was responsible for the fatal adverse effects. At least 100 deaths were blamed on the medication. The owner of Messingle, who had pressed to admit that some measure of culpability, answered, "We have been supplying a legitimate professional to the end, and no one could have foreseen the unlooked-for results. I do not feel there was any responsibility on our part." Executives ultimately admitted that their safety testing only examined appearance, flavor, and fragrance rather than actual toxicity. Watkins' chemist died by suicide while awaiting trial. A woman wrote to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, grieving the death of her daughter. The first time I had ever had the occasion to call in a doctor for Joan, she was given the elixir of sulfonamide. All that is left to us is caring for her little grave. Even the memory of her is mixed with sorrow, for we can see her little body tossing to and fro, and hear that little voice screaming with pain, and it seems though it would drive me insane. It is my plea that you take steps to prevent the sales of such drugs that will take little lives and leave such suffering behind, and such a bleak outlook on the future as I have tonight. Congress responded to the public outrage by passing the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act of 1938, which required companies to perform animal safety tests on proposed new drugs and submit data to the FDA before being allowed to market their products. So yeah, this was actually a really big deal. Once the elixir came out in grape flavor, their fates were sealed. But yeah, it's pretty sad. Poor mother with a little girl. Yeah. So, basically, yeah, that was it's not good. The Moringa milk is also really bad. Basically arsenic poisoning babies. This is gonna be a sad stream now, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to do this to you. Shit, apparently my stream's buffering right now. Is it buffering? Is it buffering? Damn it. Warning, the bitrate is low. The bitrate is low. The bitrate is low. Dead baby hour. Dead and bored baby. Her kid shouldn't have died, no. No buffering? Okay, well it says it's buffering on my end, but if it's not buffering on your end, I'm just gonna ignore it. 50 years have passed since the occurrence of arsenic poisoning caused by the Moringa Milk Company, hereafter known as Moringa. Most victims of the incident were, except for a few, were newborn babies. According to the report released by the Ministry of Welfare in the end of 1955, a number of individuals affected was 11,778 and a further 113 had died. Of the most notable characteristics of the Moringa milk incident is the large number of the people from the same age group who fell victim to the poison. It's very rare for a single incident to impact such a large number of people as the one did. In 2011, victims of Moringa milk incident will be turning 50 or 51 years old. It was the summer of 1955 when the powdered milk produced by the Moringa factory in Tokushima was shipped to nearby prefectures in western Japan. The factory's location in Tokushima is the main reason why the majority of the poisoning victims were concentrated in the western region of the country. This is poisoning in Japan. Poisoning in Japan. The infants and babies affected by the poisoning were unable to communicate, which made it difficult to isolate the reason for their illness. This in turn caused the damage to spread. As milk is an essential part of an infant's diet, consumers, particularly mothers, did not suspect it causing the illness and continued to feed their powdered milk to their children. If they'd only been a little bit older, they could have told their mothers, "Mommy, when you give me the milk, I always get a stomachache," but instead all they could do was cry. Their tears were most likely caused by the pain and discomfort for the poisoning. In fact, it was reported that the babies who were fed the poisoned milk cried louder than usual during the night. 50 years have passed since these events have occurred. Many of the victims' parents have passed away or have become very old. Their eternal love for their children was the driving force behind the permanent control strategy, which was developed over a 12-month period, 31 years ago. We have named our Victims Relief Association the Hackrai Association. The Victims Relief Project. Outline of the incident. Here we go. At the end of June in 1955, a strange illness spread among bottle-fed children in the western part of Japan. According to their mothers, their children had started suffering from fever and diarrhea without showing any other symptoms beforehand. They were also throwing up milk that was fed to them, and doctors were not able to identify a specific reason for their sickness. It was on August 10th that when this illness was reported for the first time, appearing in Oyo Sanyo's newspaper. The writer of the article, Mr. K, was himself a parent with an 8-month-old daughter. The newspaper headline read, "Babies affected by the summer heat. Many occurrences in the southern part of Okayama Prefecture. Some serious cases with anemia." Okay, well, typically, heat stroke does not cause anemia. The article went on, "Due to the continuous heat during the summer, babies, particularly in the southern part of Okayama Prefecture, are suffering from anemia." Really? 8-month-old. Why are you sick, baby? Poisoning Japan. Well, this was back when Japan produced low-quality products. Okay, but did they kill the fungus? The fungus is among us. This has resulted in infants in critical condition in the Okayama University Hospital and the Okayama Red Cross General Hospital in the past week. Extreme cases are exhibiting symptoms similar to those of leukemia sufferers. In these instances, patients have lost up to a quarter of their blood and have required treatments such as blood-forming medicine or blood transfusions in newborn babies. Dr. K had been covering Okayama Red Cross General Hospital at the time and was told by one of the nurses that a black baby had been coming in for examinations recently. He became curious and inquired about this to the head doctor, whose response was, "I think it's molenia. Some of the antibiotic medicines, such as penicillin, have caused the whole body to become moldy and the skin to turn black." What? Oh god. At the time of the first report, Mr. K's brother and 10-month-old niece were visiting from Tokyo. Both Mr. K's own daughter and niece were bottle-fed babies who had consumed moringa powdered milk. As soon as they were fed the milk, they started suffering from diarrhea. When they were presented at the Okayama Red Cross General Hospital, the doctor said, "You don't have to worry, but stop using the moringa powdered milk and switch to one from another company." Yeah, it's horrific. It's, oh god. It was not until 12 days later, on August 24th, that the powdered milk produced by Moringa Milk Company was found to be mixed with arsenic. Mr. K's daughter and niece recovered as soon as they stopped consuming Moringa's powdered milk. Mr. K started to wonder about this incident and frequented Okayama Red Cross General Hospital. On August 19th, he found the letter M on the records of 16 patients who'd been hospitalized there. It turned out that all of them had been marked with M were patients that had consumed the Moringa powdered milk. Mr. K wrote a draft article which was to be printed on the morning of August 10th. Its content included a reference to infants that had been fed moringa powdered milk, but this draft had not been published in the morning edition, rather it appeared later in the day in the evening edition. Moreover, during the editing process, fed moringa powdered milk was changed to bottled fed. It's been claimed that this change was made for the reason ordered by the company. According to Mr. K's memoranda from Pursue a Strange Illness in the 20-year history of the fight against arsenic poisoning by Morinaga, I've been saying it wrong. Imagine, like, knowing exactly who's been poisoning you and then they send you a cease and desist. It's been clear up since around August 5th that something was wrong with the Morinaga powdered milk products. In the publication, a report on the occurrence of arsenic poisoning by powdered milk in the Okayama Prefecture, a diary written by Dr. Eli Hamamoto, a pediatrics professor in the Okayama University. University Medical Department makes references to the state. Of all the pediatricians at the Okayama Red Cross Hospital were pupils of Dr. I can't say these names, Dr. H, and some doctors at the Okayama University Hospital had sought help there. This meant that the information about the recent events reached both hospitals immediately. This begs the question, what if they had announced the danger of moringa powdered milk in early August when it was first detected? Furthermore, had they made an announcement on August 12th when Mr. K presented his baby, the moldy black baby, the damage would have been significantly less. Instead, the announcements were postponed until August 24th, when the arsenic was found in moringa powdered milk tested at a forensic medicine laboratory within the medical department. I can't read, the poison's taking over my brain. It's taking over my brain! Yeah, it is. I'm getting more retarded because the arsenic is leaking through the screen and just melting me. On August 24th, the incident was given extensive coverage in every newspaper. The Asahi newspaper headline read, "Strange illness occurring in bottle-fed babies, 3 dead in Okayama." However, the word Morinaga did not appear in the headline of Okayama Senato's newspaper. As a result of this, the readers were not aware the consumption of Morinaga powdered milk was the result of the illness until they read the whole body of the article. It was assumed by many that the issue was common to all bottle-fed babies. Numerous mothers became upset by the article, rushed to hospital, and lined up outside in spite of the hot water to present their babies. Out of 197 bottle-fed babies who were presented to the Okayama University Hospital on the 20th of August, 94 were found to be suffering arsenic poisoning from the Morinaga powdered milk. God. I just don't turn moldy and black. She likes drinking milk and eating pink bread. I shouldn't have eaten the pink bread. Children like the pink bread, guys. In the Okayama Red Cross Hospital, there was not enough room for all the patients, so some were forced to occupy beds in the halls. A newspaper article on the 20th of August reported the number of patients in the Yokohama prefecture to be 216, 100 more in each prefecture of Kinki, Chunkao, and the Shikinoko region. Ding, 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 ding. In Okayama, 5 patients had officially died from the poisoning, and even more deaths were estimated. It reported that patients were showing up with high fever, diarrhea, darkened skin, and their abdomens have swollen up. They turned into Ethiopians. The following day, the number of patients nationwide reached 1,463, and 23 were dead. The medicine used to treat the arsenic poisoning was British anti-Lewisite, Bal. Bal was initially Ball. You know Ball, the demon? My Japanese is impressive. Thank you. The Jews stole my frames. Oy vey. To think that this was much a major controversy. Now pregnant women willingly take pills to end their pregnancies. Yeah, it's kind of like how mass surveillance used to be a massive controversy. Now everyone's like, oh yeah, Mr. AI, please take my data. Please take my data and make a chatbot that talks just like me so I can talk to myself for hours on end about nothing. Oh look, the bad buffer frame warning's gone now, so maybe I'm either cut off or it's fine. So it was discovered in the United Kingdom during the Second World War as an antidote for arsenic gas used in combat. Who would have imagined that such a virulent poison was being mixed with powdered milk designed for babies? That information about why arsenic was present in the powdered milk was the cause of much confusion. Arsenic had been only found in powdered milk in a product called MF Can, motherfucker can, and it was produced in a factory in Toshikuma. While 13 of the elements added to the powdered milk were taken to the Okayama University Medical Department for examination, no trace of arsenic was detected in any of them because they sent them the non-contaminated version of the milk. It was actually the Moringa factory in Tokushima that would announce that arsenic had been found in sodium phosphate, a chemical being used as a stabilizer. The stabilizer had not been sent for examination, so all tests performed during the investigation had effectively been done so in vain. Is this even her own AI therapist, Pippa maxing? What, did Pippa get her own AI therapist? Wiretap, can I have a recipe for pancakes? Highball knowledge. Motherfucker should be using the wiretap to help him goo. MF Cam, any relationship to MF Doom? Well, you know what? This is a pretty Doom-inducing situation. School zone MF 9 to 7 p.m. MF school zone, yeah, you guys know Ball, you know Ball the demon. It had been not known to anybody but the producers that a stabilizer was being used in powdered milk. At the time, there was no refrigerated tanker trucks for transportation, so the milk was becoming oxidized from the long trips from the farm to the factory. The quality of the milk was the major factor. If the milk was low quality, it's used for powdered milk for product. If milk of low quality is used for powdered milk products, it is difficult to dissolve in water for consumption. Gross. This problem did not occur if good quality milk is used. They used low quality milk. Nice. In the case of Moringa, the milk being used was almost rotten. Gross. They're feeding babies rotten milk. Nice. So, therefore, they needed to add sodium phosphate as a stabilizer. According to the press released by Moringa, they'd been using the stabilizer since 1952. Sodium phosphate can be classified into 3 grades of purity known as reagents. These are the first reagent, the second reagent, and then the grade suitable for industrial use. Believe it or not, the type of sodium phosphate that Moringa had been adding to their milk was the one for industrial use, which was commonly used as insecticide or for cleaning boilers. In fact, during the time of question, the scales at the factory so broken that the stabilizer was not measured before being added. That's why the amount of arsenic found in each product was different depending on the date of production and lot number. Excellent stuff. Great stuff, guys. Great stuff. Oh god. The sodium phosphate in which the arsenic was found was actually produced from industrial waste. This particular waste was generated during the process of refining bauxite into aluminum at the Nippon Light Metal Company in Shimizu. It was first delivered to the Japanese National Railways, but was returned due to the presence of arsenic. Oh yeah, guys, this stuff's cheap. Let's buy it. The sodium phosphate delivered to the Moringa company in Tokushima was after being rejected by many medicine companies. The Nippon Light Metal Company made an inquiry to the Ministry of Welfare by Shusho Prefecture Sanitation as to whether this medicine would constitute its poison. In accordance with the Poison and Deleterious Substances Control Law of November 15, 1954, they did not receive an answer from the Ministry of Welfare until November 1955 the following year. Had the response been completed much earlier, this incident would have not occurred. Aside from these details, it is needless to say that all product producers have a responsibility to their customers when it comes to product quality, including components best used for cleaning trays. It's demonstrated by Morninga as nothing short of irresponsible and dangerous. Yeah, so they were using rotting milk. They were using industrial grade. Okay, my model's breaking. I'm breaking, guys. I'm breaking down. They were using industrial grade sodium phosphate used for cleaning boilers and insecticides. I mean, kinda. She doesn't use like an AI therapist, but she uses it in a way that is similar. Well, AI is not your therapist. It's just gonna regurgitate whatever you say back at you in a way that you like. You know? Yeah. Nothing can excuse the actions of Morninga. It is clear that they neglected both the duty of care as well as the security practices, which in turn led to this incident. Well, you know what? Babies can't complain, so they're the best. They're the best victims for a mass poisoning. In contrast, once the investigation was underway, Morninga insisted in criminal court that they had been deceived by the medical company. Morninga claimed that to have thought the medicine was the same as what they had been using before. Therefore, they did not check for quality. Oh yeah, industrial waste. Oh yeah, industrial waste in my baby milk. Great stuff. Turns babies black and moldy. They claimed this was an offense by the medical company against the principle of trust. The response from the medical company was mixed. On one hand, they accepted the fact that they had actually delivered a low-quality product. On the other hand, they stated if Morninga had made it clear what the medicine was to be used for, we would have delivered a proper product. The medical company did not ask about the usage of their medicine because Morninga wanted it to remain confidential. The reason why Morninga chose to use low-quality milk as a material was due to a sudden increase in their share of the powdered milk product. This growth was a result of the effective marketing campaign, which included baby contests and commercials featuring well-known personalities. The market share had exceeded 50% by 1955. The amount of milk Morninga collected increased by 3.1 times over the period of 1950 and 1955. Morninga had outdistanced their competitors, Yukishiri and Menji, by 2 times and 2.6 times, respectively. So they had the market by the balls. Moldy babies destined to be VTubers. Stupid babies, taking all this breast milk. But did they use Zyklon B? I swear my coworker uses it as a perfume sometimes. Well, yeah, it's a thing for treating lice. Don't worry about it, that Activision Blizzard. It's pretty safe. I mean, like, they used it to treat scabies. Like, I don't think there's any problem with using a bit of ZB as a perfume. You got it? Yeah. Morninga they were not found guilty. The first trial in the Tokushima District Court on October 25th, 1963. At a review by an appellate court in Takamashu High Court on March 31st, 1966, the original decision was reversed and remanded. Following this, at a hearing in the Supreme Court, a final appeal was rejected on February 27, 1969. Eventually, it was through Tokushima District Court that head of factory production at Morninga Tokushima was sentenced to 3 years imprisonment. 3 years for killing 26 babies by feeding them arsenic. 18 years had passed since the indictment was first issued. It was one of the top 10 longest lawsuits in history. 2. Treatment for the incident. From August 27, 1955, the families of the victims started coming together to move towards a negotiation with Morninga. Mr. Tetsu Okazaki wrote a leaflet. Oh, it's Mr. Okazaki, containing a proposition for an alliance of families of the Morninga milk arsenic poisoning victims. Mr. Okazaki's own daughter had been receiving treatment at the Okayama Red Cross General Hospital. The leaflet was handed out to the families of each victim on every floor of the hospital by some victims' parents. Families agreed to the proposition as soon as they read it and eagerly expressed their support for the alliance to proceed. DEET is good enough for mosquitoes, so therefore I'll use it to prevent crabs. Leaflet? Yeah, little pieces of paper. Following the establishment of these alliances, families of the victims nationwide started to rally together as well. On September 19th... Why do all these mass poisonings include a lot of babies? It's really awful. I don't like that. I'm gonna find another article about killing babies, I guess. I guess we'll be reading about killing babies. God, I can't even speak now. We've been talking about killing babies too much. Leaflet, not like a piece of paper, not a slime YouTuber. There's a slime YouTuber called Leaflet. Let's read about the Johnson & Johnson Tylenol crisis. A lesson in ethical crisis management. In September 1982, something unthinkable happened. 7 people in Chicago area died after taking extra-strength Tylenol capsules. They were too strong, guys. The Tylenol was too strong, and it just caused them to straight up die. They were geeking on the Tylenol. A trusted, everyday painkiller found in millions of homes. Capsule has been laced with potassium cyanide. Crazy. What followed was one of the most studied corporate crises in history, and the Johnson & Johnson's response became a defining example of how ethical decision-making during a crisis can save a brand and set new standards for the entire industry. Oh, so Johnson & Johnson had a good response. What did they say? Let's see. Tylenol. Robo trip straight to hell. LeMayo. Turns out babies are weak to poison. Crazy. Carlos, we've just been talking about killing babies, and we read an article about babies being fed poisoned bottled milk, and they turned moldy and turned black, and they had liver failure, and their fingers and toes fell off, and they had kidney failure, and they died. Sissy Ping 1000. Am I pinging badly now? Is my ping dying? Am I pinging? I'm pinging good. Under Burke's leadership, the company spent $100 million to recall 31 million bottles of Tylenol and relaunched the product 2 months later in tamper-proof packaging. Burke's actions have become a legendary example of good crisis management, serving as a basis for studies in numerous business schools and management books. Burke not only saved the reputation of the company, but he also saved the brand as well. By mid-1983, Tylenol share of the anglistic market had climbed to 30%, reaching 35% at the end of the year. Let's go back to the other article. I want to hear about what happened. What happened? On September 29th, a 12-year-old... Oh, another kid. God damn it. 12-year-old Mary Kellerman of Elk Grove Village, a Chicago suburb, took an extra-strength Tylenol capsule for a sore throat and a runny nose. She was dead within hours. The same day, a postal worker named Adam Janus collapsed and died after taking the same medication. His brother Stanley and sister-in-law Teresa, grieving at Adam's home, took capsules from the same bottle to relieve their headaches. They both died shortly after. By October 1st, the death toll had reached 7. Victims ranged from age of 12 to 35. Oh, God. Investigators quickly traced all deaths back to extra-strength Tylenol capsules contaminated with potassium cyanide, a substance that can kill within minutes by shutting down the body's ability to use oxygen at the cellular levels, kind of like carbon monoxide. The contaminated bottles had been purchased from 2 different stores across the Chicago area, and the capsules had been manufactured at 2 separate facilities, one in Pennsylvania and the other in Texas. Disappointed investigators toward the chilling conclusion. Someone had bought the bottles from the stores, added cyanide capsules, and returned the tampered packages to store shelves. These mass death reports are kind of downers, yep. They added cyanide to the Tylenol to kill children. To understand the enormity of what J&J faced, you have to know how big Tylenol was at the time. It was the top-selling over-the-counter pain reliever in the United States, holding roughly 35% of the market by the balls. More than the next 4 competing brands combined. Tylenol was manufactured at McNeil Consumer Products, a subsidiary of J&J. It was a flagship product and a significant profit driver. Poisonings did not just threaten the product, they threatened the entire company's reputation, the public faith in safety, and over-the-counter medication. Panic spread nationally. People were afraid to open their medicine cabinets. Hospitals and poison control centers were overwhelmed with calls. Yeah. Nationwide recall. J&J's most consequential decision was to issue an immediate nationwide recall of all Tylenol products, not just the extra-strength capsules and not just in the Chicago area. This meant pulling approximately 31 million bottles of Tylenol off store shelves, and an estimated cost of over $100 million. J&J was also super transparent. It sounds like the Japanese poisonings with the drinks left at vending machines. Nuo AMWGUY. We're talking about killing babies with poisonings. My theory is that a white nationalist accelerationist poisoned the Tylenol. Yeah. Collaboration. So, this is just about how Tylenol saved their brand. But, like, brief history of the Chicago Tylenol murders. How they canceled Halloween. Oh, man. Did they ever figure out who did it? Let's see. Let's see if they figured out who did it. Mysterious deaths immediately raised red flags for local officials and healthcare providers who responded to help with the investigation given the particular nature of the casualties and the alarming rate at which they were spreading. It became apparent that as much as this was a broad-ranging murder investigation, it could also be a public health crisis. It was quickly established the link on all the victims with the consumption of Tylenol tablets shortly before death, and authorities sent a medication found in bottles of the deceased for testing. When the results came back, it was found that the acetaminophen pills in these containers have been swapped with tablets containing lethal doses of potassium cyanide. So they didn't just sprinkle in cyanide. Someone manufactured tablets that looked like Tylenol tablets, but they were cyanide tablets. What the hell? The Minimata disease. Yeah, I actually have it open in another tab. I can pull it out. You just came in here after watching the series. What series? Transformers Prime. Yeah, that's cool. Arsenic's the most effective for killing babies. And guess who's making cyanide in the United States? I don't know. Within 48 hours, Mayor Jane Bryan, with the Corporation of local law enforcement, health officials, and universities, had all Tylenol products pulled from local grocers and pharmacies and shipped off to various laboratories in the area for integrity testing. Area residents were instructed to dispose of any Tylenol products they had at home, and the drug manufacturer issued a call nationwide. Many towns going as far as canceling Halloween trick-or-treating for fears of candy tainted in the same way. The perpetrator had not been identified. A man from New York, James Lewis, claimed responsibility for the events and demanded $1 million from Tylenol's parent company in exchange for stopping the killings. However, it was quickly established that he could not have been the person responsible, and he served 13 years in prison for extortion. Beyond being a grim part of the city's history, the incident had a profound effect on the drug industry. In 1983, the Congress passed the Tylenol bill, which made it a felony to tamper with consumer products. Crazy. In 1989, the FDA updated their policies to make medications more tamper-proof, requiring tamper-evident seals all over the counter of medications, and the eventual transition to manufacturing to the more common caplets that are harder to tamper with than older medications. Some poor soul got a painkiller instead of cyanide. Lol. Let's see. I have the Camel Ford water pollution incident here too. This is crazy. Okay, this one's kind of crazy too. I mean, this is just a Wikipedia article. But this one's crazy. This is crazy. The Camel Ford water pollution incident involved the accidental contamination of the drinking water supply to the town of Camel Ford, Cornwall in July 1988. 20 tons of aluminum sulfate were inadvertently added to the water supply, raising the concentration to 3,000 times the permissible level. As the aluminum sulfate broke down, it produced several tons of sulfuric acid, which stripped a cocktail of chemicals from the pipe networks, as well as lead and copper piping in people's homes. Many people who came in contact with the contaminated water experienced a range of short-term health effects, and many victims suffered long-term effects whose implications remained unclear as of 2012. There has been no rigorous examination or monitoring the health of victims since the incident, which is Britain's worst mass poisoning event. Inquests on people who had died many years later were found to have very high levels of aluminum in the brain. Immediately after contamination, the authorities had said the water was safe to drink, possibly with juice to cover the unpleasant taste. Oh yeah, that's the British government for you guys. That's the British government. In an inquest in 2012 into the death of the victims, the coroner stated that the Southwest Water Authority had been gambling with as many as 20,000 lives when they failed to inform the public about the poisoning for 16 days, a delay he called unacceptable. In the aftermath of the contamination, the public was reassured that there was no risk to health, LeMayo. There were allegations of a cover-up, and West Homestead coroner Michael Rose said, "It was found there was a deliberate policy to not advise the public of the true nature until some 16 days after the occurrence of the incident." Following in, this is the Brit Bongs, you know, you gotta have a telly license, but we're not gonna tell you if we dumped 11 tons of aluminum sulfate into the water, guys. We're not gonna tell you if you're gonna get brain damage and fucking die, you know? Various associated bodies tried to bury the inquiry from the start. Metro told one newspaper, "This has become a tug-of-war between truth in an attempt to silence the truth." Never change Britain. I've been poisoned! I don't think you have been, mate. That's Australian. Oh god, my god, I remember that. I had to ask an employee to unlock the freezers at Walmart to get the drumsticks. What? What am I missing? Just open a ice cream, lick it, and put it back as a TikTok challenge? Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy, guys. Remember that? It's so crazy. Cause, on the 6th of July, 1988, a relief tanker driver working for ISC Chemicals, a Bristol-based subsidiary of Rio Tinto Zinc, arrived in Rio Tinto Zinc? That sounds like a freaking cartoon. Arrived in Lowermore Water Treatment Works on Browman Moor and found it unmanned. Being unfamiliar with the location, he'd been given a key by another driver and told that simply once inside the gate, the aluminum sulfate tank was on the left. However, the key fitted almost every lock used in the Southwest Water Authority. After 20 minutes for looking for the correct tank, he tried the key on a manhole cover-up, and when he unlocked it, he discovered he believed he had accessed the correct tank. He poured 20 tons of aluminum sulfate used to remove solid particles from raw water into the tank, which actually held the treated water prior to the distribution of consumers in Campbellford. This immediately contaminated the water supply to 20,000 people and up to 10,000 tourists. The maximum recorded aluminum concentration was 620 milligrams per liter, compared with the maximum concentration admissible at the time of the European Community of 0.2 milligrams per liter. Messed up that they buried this. They made an oopsie poopsie. They made an oopsie boopie poopsie. For several days, the Water Authority has insisted the water was safe and should be mixed with orange juice to disguise the taste of a yet unknown contaminant. One customer, "You're not sick, mate," who had telephoned the authority the day after contamination, was told that there had been some acidity, but the water is perfectly safe to drink. It was no more harmful than lemon juice. On the 14th of July, 1988, the authority had sent a circular letter to all consumers, asserting that the water from the treatment works was of the right alkalinity and safe to use and drink. Within 2 days, the authority had suspected the source of contamination with the erroneous delivery, which was confirmed on the 12th of July when the driver was asked to return to the treatment works. It was not until 10 days later, on the 22nd of July, that the authority's chairman, Cathcart, authorized a public notice mentioning the first mention of aluminum sulfate to be published on the sports section of the local newspaper. Stephen stated that after the site meeting, he had confirmed that he had delivered the chemical to the wrong tank, and he was told by the authority to not mention it to anyone else. The SWWA district manager John Lewis had said they realized within 48 hours that aluminum sulfate was a likely cause of contamination, but Lewis said he was instructed by Lusty Nix, the head of operations, to not tell the public. Well done, lads. Why would they cover this up? So they don't get the Brits angry. But you know, if you get Brits angry, all they do is like drink beer and like pass out on their couches. They put it in the sports section. They put my mouse poisoning in the sports section. Oi, mate. Douglas Cross, a consultant biologist based in Campbellford, tested the water and found it contained not only aluminum sulfate, but other noxious substances too. As the acidic liquid traveled from the plant into people's homes, it corroded the copper pipes in their solder joints made of zinc and lead. Official advice to boil the water before drinking was, according to Cross, dangerous advice because it concentrates the contaminants. They kept flushing the pipes out for months after this incident. This will have stirred up debris in the vents and has only lengthened the amount of time the water coming up through the taps with all sorts of metals in it. 60,000 salmon and trout were killed in the Camel and Allen rivers during the flushing out process. The contamination was compounded by the failure of the authority to carry out the 6-monthly required cleaning of the tank, which had not been cleared for 3 years. Leading up to a buildup of sludge. Oh yeah, just feeding the consumer the best, highest quality product. Is that why their teeth are so bad? Lol. It's in the sports section, so it's a competitive mass poisoning. Lol. You got a license for that poisoning? Yeah, Britain is an incredible nation. They did it, guys. They did it. You got a license for that reporting poisoning in the sports section? A month after the contamination, Michael Waring at the Department of Health wrote to every doctor in Cornwall, said, although he had no detailed information on exactly what was in the water or how much people might have drunk, it could have assured them that no lasting ill effects would result. Oh yeah, you know, lead poisoning, well known for its short-acting effects. Actually, did they use the slush to make their poison arsenic milk for their kids? Oh yeah. G.K. Matthews. Oh yeah, I'm gonna use the poison British water to add to my morning of milk to eat with my pink bread. Great meal, guys. G.K. Matthews, a senior toxicologist at the DH, suggested a team of medical experts, and I should also drink my Ghana cough syrup from India, should be sent to the area immediately. But a month later, he said he had been overruled. The National Union of Public Employees said that the procedure by which the driver had access to the site was common through the region, and they believed this was connected with the reduced staffing levels and the privatization plans. They added they were concerned about the 3-week delay in reporting what had happened. They were concerned? And the district manager instructed at a very high level to say nothing. Lewis, not a member of the union, had been dismissed, and the unit said to single him out was unfair. Reports and inquiries. Blamed lax procedures. What are the consequences? Health effects. Short term. A diverse array of short-term effects were reported by members of the public who either drank the contaminated water or became in contact with it while bathing. This included urinary complaints, blistering and peeling of the skin, hair turning blue or green, diarrhea or vomiting, and joint pains. Long-term effects. Oh yeah. The 1999 report in the British Medical Journal concluded that some victims had suffered considerable damage to their brain function. This contradicted the 1991 the Lehigh report, telling their residents that their symptoms were due to the anxiety. The classic trick. Just tell people whatever problem they're having is just anxiety. The study was led by a consultant nephrologist at the John Radcliffe Hospital, Oxford, and the first large-scale clinical study to the affected residents. The report stated their symptoms were similar to that of Alzheimer's disease, which had been linked to large quantities of aluminum accumulating in the brain. Rejecting the findings of LIG, the report called for further research to determine the longer prognosis for affected individuals and led fresh calls to a public inquiry into the pollution incident. Although the study was carried out in 1991, its publication delayed the ongoing litigation between SWWA and the victims. The victims were reported fatigue, fibromyalgia, premature aging, loss of short-term memory, and multiple chemical sensitivity. 7 months after the contamination, one victim underwent a bone biopsy, which found a ring of aluminum, like rings you see in trees, which could have not resulted from normal aluminum absorption. Oh god. That's awful. That's really awful. That's so bad. The husband of Carol Cross, who died from a rare form of dementia in 2004, said in 2006 that he believed his wife and 20 other people had died as a result of the disaster, and that more cases were emerging. Victim Sarah Silliphant, who was in her 20s when she was exposed, hanged herself in 2005 after suffering dementia and other symptoms similar to those experienced by Carol Cross. In 2007, Eileen Neal, who lived in Rock near Camelford at the time of the incident, died at age 91. A post-mortem examination found an unacceptable amount of aluminum in the brain. My discolored skin with a strange lump is a form of anxiety. Yes. Carol Cross. In 2006, a post-mortem inquest into the death of Carol Cross at the age of 58 was exposed to contaminated drinking water at 44, showed her brain contained 23 micrograms of aluminum per gram of brain, which is comparable to the normal brain levels of 0.2 to 2 micrograms per gram. Her death was caused by an early onset beta-amyloid angiopathy, a cerebrovascular disease usually associated with Alzheimer's, which could be connected to the abnormally high level of aluminum in her brain. Michael Rose of West Somerset Coroner said to the findings, "Further research will be needed before the significance of elevated brain aluminum concentration in this case can be clarified. The scientific report on this case has been submitted for publication." Daniel Pearl of New York's Mount Sinai School of Medicine said if additional similar cases would appear among the 20,000 exposed individuals, the implications of this incident would become extremely important. Only time will tell. At the very least, increased efforts towards surveillance of individuals in Camelford is certainly warranted. Rose had adjourned the inquest for Cross and Neal's pending further studies, but in 2008, the government had either refused to finance or assist to research to test the hypothesis. Oh yeah, guys, aluminum safe. Just wrap everything you eat in it. Drink everything that's, aluminum caps are totally safe, guys. Hell, my baby has become black and moldy due to anxiety. Shiny metal brain. Surely it's that and not the aluminum in her brain. Yeah, I got the AD people who connect everything to Alzheimer's. Yeah, it's kind of, oh man. So, I think what we can conclude from these articles is that you should not trust medical authorities when they release initial warnings or reports on things, because it might be your British government trying to give you aluminum poisoning, so you just be like, "Oi, Governor, you want to go to the pub and grab a pint and we can watch sports on the telly? You want to go watch what's it called? Football? Let's go watch some football on the telly, oi." Have you ever heard of gamma aminobutyric acid, GABA? Yes, I've heard of GABA. Everyone's heard of GABA. They sell little GABA capsules in, like, stores and stuff. So, yes. Don't drink aluminum. Don't eat pink bread. What was the other story I had open? Deli oil poisoning. We can look at that. Clinical toxicology laboratory. Contemporary practice of poisoning. Cancer, arsenic, Jonestown, mass poisonings, Minamata disease. This is the mass mercury poisoning. This is also water, I believe. Microcephaly, extensive cerebral damage, and symptoms similar to those seen in cerebral palsy occurred. Might be reading having aluminum in it. Hi, Sinclairo. It's me, Sisyphus. Oi, Governor, you wanna get some points? So that's why my baby is moldy and black. Oi, vey, give me money. Minamata disease was first discovered in the city of Minamata, Kumamoto Prefecture in Japan in 1956. Why do all these incidents occur in the 1950s? You know, this is why Gen X has, like, something wrong with their heads. Like, all Gen Xers have something wrong with their heads. Perhaps this is a good time to stop scraping my aluminum cookware with steel wool. Yeah, that's a good idea. It was caused by the release of methyl mercury in the industrial wastewater from a chemical factory owned by the Chisso Corporation, which continued in 1932 to 1968. It has also been suggested that some mercury sulfate in the wastewater had also been metabolized by methyl mercury by bacteria in the sediment. This highly toxic chemical bioaccumulated and biomagnified in shellfish and fish in the Minamata Bay and Shirinuri Sea, which would, when eaten by the local population, resulted in mercury poisoning. The poisoning and resulting deaths of both animals and humans continued for 36 years, while Chitsuno and Kumamoto Prefecture government did little to prevent the epidemic. The animal effects were severe enough in cats that they claimed to have dancing cat fever. Dancing cat fever. Nice. Stream's been fun, but it's nearly 1:30 for me, and my old ass needs to go to sleep. Good night, everyone. Have a good night, Jane Ska. Thank you for joining the stream where I talk about dying babies, turning black and moldy. How's it going, Sisyphus? Red herring? It's going good. Thanks for the dono. It's going pretty good. Thanks for the stupid chat. I'm enjoying reading these, honestly. Legal processes are still going to this day. I'm not joking. I bet. As of March 2001, 2,265 people officially recognized as having Minamata disease, and over 10,000 people received financial compensation from Chisato. By 2004, Chisato had paid $86 million in compensation, and the same year was ordered to clean out its contamination. On March 29, 2010, a settlement was reached to compensate. Thanks for watching, JP Kitchens. Pretty chill. Second outbreak of Minamata disease occurred in the Niigata Prefecture in 1965. The original Minamata disease and the Niigata Minamata disease are considered two of the 4 big pollution diseases of Japan. We can look at that. So, my nose is itchy. Crazy that the neighbors peer pressured each other to not litigate. The cat artist working in the exact floors that got hit. Interesting. In 1908, the Chisso Corporation first opened a chemical factory in Minamata, Kumamoto Prefecture, located on the west coast of the southern island of Kyushu. Initially producing fertilizers, the factory followed a nationwide expansion of Japan's chemical industry, branching out into production of acetylene, acetaldehyde, acetic acid, vinyl chloride, octanol, and among others. I believe it was the octanol that resulted in the poisoning. You know, this is kind of like the Teflon thing. Like, who released someone released a really good video on the Teflon stuff. I don't remember who. Minamata Factory became the world's most advanced in all of Japan, but before and after World War II. The waste products resulting from the manufacture of these chemicals were released into the Minamata Bay through factory wastewater. The pollutants had a deleterious effect on environmental impact. Fisheries were damaged and terms of reduced catches. In response, it also reached 2 separate commission agreements with the fishery cooperative in 1926 and 1943. You guys remember the old adage about pollution? The solution to pollution is dilution. You guys remember that? Like, my parents would say it. And that's how they killed Lake Erie in Canada. They just dumped waste into it. I'm gonna grab a pillow to sit on because my butt's starting to... I like using a folding chair, and it's... one second. I'm getting real sweaty. 1 second. Yeah. But if you follow the solution to pollution as dilution, then you kind of get screwed over. You studied this case back in med school as part of a pharmacology subject. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've always heard solution to pollution as dilution. Like, they said it in elementary school, too. Like, about Lake Erie. Like, the Great Lakes got absolutely contaminated and became unusable for a while. Your science teacher said that? Yeah, it was like a solution to pollution as dilution is, a Canadian thing, maybe. It was never true, but it was often repeated, and it sounds good. The rapid expansion of the Shiso factory spread on by the local economy. It's an excuse chemical companies use so they can dump shit into the water. But yeah, it was really common. Chemical companies were like, you know what? This stuff already exists in the environment. There's already arsenic in your dirt. Why should it be a problem with just dump it in the water? Because it's already gonna be there. It's gonna end up there, guys. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Junction, what's your function? 1 is 1 too many. Guy, sorry. Yeah, 1 is 1 too many. That's how it would be. So, let's see when it gets interesting. On April 21st, 1956, a 5-year-old girl was examined at Chiso's factory hospital in Minamata. The physicians were puzzled by her symptoms: difficulty walking, difficulty speaking, and convulsions. 2 days later, her younger sister also began to exhibit the same symptoms. She too was hospitalized. The girl's mother informed doctors that her neighbor's daughter was also experiencing similar problems. After a house-to-house investigation, 8 further patients were discovered and hospitalized. On May 1st, the hospital reported an epidemic of an unknown disease of the central nervous system to the local public health office, making the official discovery of Minamata disease.
How many burglars was a Hamburglar burglar if the Hamburglar was currently burglaring hamburgers?
Well, thanks for the dono, Logan Orange Swirl. I don't know how many burgers. I don't know how many burgers with the hamburger burglar if the hamburger were currently burglaring Hamburg. Damn it, burger. No, don't make me say burglar. Burglary. Okay, no. Burger. Fuck. Damn you. Thanks for the dono, though. When we deal with contamination and pollution, biology and chemistry, we always have to analyze the contaminant and whether or not it breaks down. Some never do, and some are lethal in small doses. Mercury is one such thing. Burglary, not burglary. Let's continue with sad story time. To investigate the epidemic, the city government and various medical practitioners informed the Strange Disease Countermeasures Committee. What a name. Owing to the localized nature of the disease, it was initially suspected to be contagious. Patients were still isolated in their homes and disinfected as a precaution. I stood there in shock as my burger starts busting a move. Burgerbly. Although contagion was later disproved, the initial response contributed to the stigmatization and discrimination experienced by Minamata survivors from the local community. During these investigations, the committee uncovered surprising anecdotal evidence of strange behavior in cats and other wildlife in the surrounding area's patient homes. Reports of cats convulsing, going mad, and dying started around 1950. Locals called it cat dancing disease, in reference to the cat's erratic movements. Crows had fallen out of the sky, seaweed no longer grew on the seabed, and fish floated dead on the surface of the sea. As the extent of the outbreak was understood, the committee invited researchers from Kumamoto University to help in the research effort. Yes. Jezebel Geberger, yeah. Jezebel Gebergably. What's a good song she wrote? 45 ACP. I don't know why that one comes up. When my brain hurts from the bright screen, and when it gets worse, I take the oxy. Get fucked by the 45 ACP. Get fucked, you self-medicated Nazi. But the same they consider when I'm acting myself. They say I'm acting different. Get fucked by the 45 ACP. I'm tweaking. I don't think I'm breathing. Yeah. The Kumamoto University Research Group was formed on the 24th of August, 1956. Researchers from the School of Medicine began visiting Minamata regularly and admitted patients to the University Hospital for extensive examination. A more complete picture of the symptoms exhibited by patients was gradually uncovered. The disease struck without any prior warning, and patients complaining of a loss of sensation and numbness in their hands and feet. They became unable to grasp small objects or fasten buttons. They could not run or walk without stumbling. Their voices changed pitch. Many patients complained of difficulty sleeping, hearing, and swallowing. In general, these symptoms worsened and were followed by severe convulsions, coma, and eventually death. By October 1956, 40 patients had been discovered, 14 of whom had died, an alarming case fatality rate of 35%. Researchers from the Kumadi also began to focus on the causes of the strange disease. They found that victims, often members of the same family, were clustered in fishing houses along the shore of Minamata Bay. The staple food of the victims was invariably fish and shellfish from the Minamata Bay. The guests in these areas who ate scraps from the family table showed symptoms similar to the humans. This led researchers to believe the outbreak was caused by some kind of food poisoning. Oh yeah, guys, salmonella. Salmonella, well known for raping the brain. I want songs that got the soul. I want proper bowel control. Oh yeah. The dilution solution thing they used to teach was crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. I love diluting methyl mercury into the water. Minamata disease is considered to be a poisoning by heavy metal. Presumably it enters the human body mainly through fish and shellfish. Identification of mercury. You guys love milk. I love my methyl mercury. As soon as the investigation was identified, heavy metal was identified as the cause of methyl mercury contamination, and the factory was suspected immediately. The company's own tests revealed that its wastewater contained many heavy metals in concentrations sufficiently high enough to bring about serious environmental degradation, including lead, mercury, manganese, arsenic, thallium, and copper. Plus the chalcogen, selenium, chalcogen. Identifying which particular poison was responsible for disease could prove to be extremely difficult and time-consuming. During 1957 and 1958, many different theories were proposed by different researchers. At first, manganese was thought to be the causal substance due to the high concentrations of fish and organs of the deceased. Thallium, selenium, and multiple contaminant theory was also proposed. In March 1958, visiting British neurologist Douglas McLean suggested that Minamata symptoms resembled those of organic mercury poisoning, which shifted the focus in the investigation to mercury. In February 1959, researchers tested the waters in Minamata Bay for mercury. The results were shocking. High quantities of mercury detected in fish, shellfish, and sludge from the bay. Highest concentrations centered around Chaso. During the Kumadi investigation, the causal substance had been identified as a heavy metal. It's highly presumed that the Chisazo factory was a source of contamination. Chisazo was coming under closer scrutiny, and to deflect the criticism, the wastewater output route was changed. Chisazo knew the environmental damage caused by its wastewater and was aware it was a prime suspect in the investigation. Despite this, from September 1958, instead of discharging its waste into the Haken Harbor, it discharged waste directly into the Minamata River. This immediate effect was death of fish at the mouth of the river, and from that point on, new Minamata disease victims began to appear in other fishing villages up and down the Shinazuzi as the pollution spread. So, that's pretty crazy. Oh yeah, in response to us getting a lot of people dead, we're just gonna dump it in more water. And this Lucky Charms for cancer? Yeah. She's also failed to cooperate with the Kamadi research team. It's withheld information on its industrial processes, leaving researchers to speculate which products the factory was producing and by what methods. The Shizazo factory hospital director, Hamadi Hosokawa, established a laboratory in the research division of the facility to carry out his own experiments in the Minamata disease in July 1959. In one experiment, Hosokawa added factory wastewater to food that was then fed to healthy cats. 78 days into the experiment, Cat 400 exhibited symptoms of Minamata disease, and pathological examinations confirmed a diagnosis of organic mercury poisoning. Chizo did not reveal these results to the investigators and was ordered by Hoazaka to stop his research. cat 400. Compensation of fishermen and patients. They compensated people. Wastewater treatment, continued pollution, congenital minimated disease. Local doctors and medical officials have noted a normally high frequency of cerebral palsy and other infantile disorders in the Minamata area. In 1951, a number of medical professionals, including Masazumi Harada, later to be honored by the United Nations for his body of work in the Minamata disease, set about re-examining children diagnosed with cerebral palsy. The symptoms of the children closely mirrored those of adult Minamata disease patients, but many of the mothers did not exhibit symptoms. The fact that these children had been born after the initial outbreak and had never been fed the contaminated fish also led the mothers to believe that they were not victims. At the time, the medical establishment believed the placenta would protect the fetus from toxins in the bloodstream, which is the case for most medical chemicals. But in the case of methylmercury, the placenta removes it from the mother's bloodstream and concentrates it in the fetus. The placenta removes methylmercury from the bloodstream and feeds it directly to the fetus. Lovely. After several years of study and the autopsies of the two children, the doctors announced that these children had as yet unrecognized congenital form of Minamata disease. The certification committee convened on the 29th of November in 1962 and agreed that 2 dead children and 16 children still alive should be certified as patients and therefore liable for sympathy money from Chizo, as in line with the 1959 agreement. It was me, Barry. I poisoned the Britson so we can hear him say bro in it. It was me, Barry. I poisoned the Brits so I can hear less of them say bro in it. New morning after pill formula is crazy. Yeah, it's for the kids. Gotta get rid of those damn kids. Maybe one more. My neck started to hurt from... I don't know why it's hurting. I think I'm holding my neck funny. Ergotism. Before... Yeah, I've been going for almost 2 hours. I think I'm gonna call it quits. There's a lot of disease talk. What did we cover? Let's go with the first one. So... Yeah, we went over a lot. We did the Iraq, grain poisoning with the pink bread. We did the Johnson & Johnson Tylenol crisis, Minamata disease, Camelford water pollution incident, that's more Morninga milk, yep. A cough syrup in Gambia with dead children, elixir sulfonamide, yeah. Viewer dissection when? Soon. It was a lot, yeah. Rich people say there's too many kids despite my generation not producing any at all. Yeah, too much mercury. Alright. Yeah, thanks for joining stream. I don't want to have you look at my... No. I don't want the infinite tunneling thing. I don't want to crash my computer. But yeah. Good night. When will the next stream be? 2 days. 2 days I'll do another alien isolation stream. I kind of want to... When someone who poisons something for the United States for money or terroristic use, when someone poisons something in the United Kingdom, it's the government will be all over itself to cover it up. The poisoning in the UK occurs due to gross negligence. Alright. The we as fucked has rarely been an appropriate draft. Yeah, it's quite sobering. Someone should check all the cases in the comments. That'd be pretty chill. Alright, well, good night. Thanks for joining. It was fun. I enjoyed talking about it. I should stop talking, otherwise I'm gonna talk for like 10 more minutes. But yeah, good night.